Welcome to the Emerging Lawyer series at the Coffee Corner Show powered by the Emerging India Forum, TIF, and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is Shaping AI Governance and Law for the Future. We have with us Abhivardhan, Managing Partner at Indic Pacific Legal Research, LLP, a thought leader at the crossroads of law, technology, and global governance. His unique lens, combining Indic philosophies with modern policy, is shaping conversations from Lucknow to G20 global forums. Abhivardhan has been instrumental in drafting India's first privately proposed AI regulation and publishing over 40 works on AI ethics and international law. Join us as we explore the man behind the titles, his professional mission, with his personal inspiration, and we also come to know Abhivardhan as a person. So, welcome Abhivardhan to today's coffee conversation.
Happy to be here, and I look forward to discussing interesting things. So yeah, glad.
Okay. So, let me explain you. There'll be three rounds: professional, personal, and a rapid fire round. So, you'll need the hot seat. And as you've written 40, mine also is there two books: Legal AI and there is AI in Workforce. But for that, you have to be witty, fun, and then you will be able to win the rapid fire round and you will get a gift. So let's begin. So, friend, I'm Lion Amir Virani, hosted Coffee Con Legal Tech Evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, author of 15 books. So, my first question, Abhivardhan, how was the journey shaped up and what were the key defining moments you had?
Honestly, the journey shaped up with building things around in the research side, and yeah, I would say experimenting them because the field of technology law in the AI times is very unique and it requires a novel and innovative approach. Now, that comes when you experiment and understand problems, and for that, you need a strong understanding of public policy. So, I've always loved public policy. I've always loved international affairs. And when we understand economic dynamics and things and how we can relate them, I think that gave me the room to do. But, uh, well, if you say pivotal moments, well, it all started long back, like in 2018, when I was asked by one of my colleagues that why don't you write a paper on AI? Now, that was a time when in 2017 I had published something. 2018 it was basically because I had sent in that time. I think the Government Law College Bombay had the GLC Contemporary Law Review, and it was like new launched. And I had published an article on privacy in the law of tort. Now we know that tortious liability is not an India thing that much. We don't even file class action lawsuits under CPC while we can. Um, and obviously the jury system doesn't exist anymore. But one thing which was interesting that because I wrote that paper on AI and I was interested in privacy long back, and all these discussions are still happening on the bill, on the Sri Krishna committee, and all that. I was like, okay, let's just give it a try. And I wrote a paper on international law and ethics of AI. It was just absolute fun in its own right. So that was a very pivotal moment. And then I did a workshop in 2019 for NMIMS's new legal department campus, a law school campus in Banarghata, and that also gave me a push. You know what? Let's take this AI and law side ahead. I think it was a 200 people audience, multidisciplinary. So these were two foundational, I would say, pivotal moments in the early times, but it is what it is.
Wow. So, let's dive deep in conversation. In your experience, what is India's biggest opportunity in the field of AI governance?
So the biggest opportunity right now in India is to enable market practices and make them aligned in a way which actually is sensitive to the Indian market. See, it is about AI, but it starts with data, but it will not remain around data all the time because a lot of classical AI will always exist. A lot of automation and software will happen. So we will have innovators who will make something. I'm not saying AI agents are reliable, but then a lot of AI is still reliable without even generative AI and beyond generative AI. So first of all, data outflow is important, and I think we need to help our markets, especially our startups and innovators, because with India, the thing is our innovators are crazy. They just can be somebody in Hyderabad who can then engage with somebody in, Guwahati, and then these two buddies can engage with somebody in Singapore, and then these three can engage with somebody in New York. So what happens is that India localizes and globalizes in a very unique way, and uh, that's why I feel that yes, it has an opportunity. Even if we don't have a regulation right now as an act of parliament, it's perfectly fine. It takes time. Let those discussions happen in Delhi. I mean, I am a proponent of democratic discussions. I think they should happen all over the country, like it happened in G20 2023. So that is the AI governance opportunity I see. Market practices.
Wow. So Indic Pacific is known for integrating cultural perspectives into AI policy. Why do you feel this is crucial in today's tech-driven world?
Yeah, so the word culture in a management sense, like if you ask somebody who's from an IIM or something, they'll tell you that culture is not just the word which is associated with faith. Culture is also associated with work culture, right? Cultural competencies. So, cultural competencies are so interesting. I'll give you a quick example. So, everyone who is a Japanese content fan and has seen the rise of India-Japanese relations has also seen something called Gundam, right? It's a robotic figure like the Transformers. Now, in Japan, there's a museum where a very tall Gundam robotic figure was made by a Japanese engineer. Now, it was just remote controlled in the 1990s or something like that. And it was so brilliantly made, people became fans of it. A lot of tourists go there. But the engineer issued an apologia in writing to the Japanese government and the police saying that because it was banned literally to use it in a remote control fashion, because ethically and culturally it felt like it was a very unsafe thing to do. It could cause problems. And then the engineer was like, you know what, I'll just issue an apology and I really feel bad about it. So if you look at culture, even in Japan, for example, AI regulations right now, the Japanese government is thinking, okay, fine, don't just come up with something too binding, but come up with something which is culturally sensitive in a way to create a sense of shame and a sense of concern, in creating a sense of, I would say, reputational accountability rather than legal accountability. Now, these sensitive things actually have an impact in Japan. In fact, that has changed prime ministers after the assassination of Shinzo Abe. So that's a very unique cultural approach for AI governance. So yeah, we mix cultural competencies because the legal and policy front is still understandable, while a lot of AI regulatory approaches are uploaded and developed by countries around the world. I think a lot of cultural competencies is exactly what one should strive for and focus on, and that's what we intend to focus on. So yeah, that's our approach.
Wow. So my also is interesting. You emphasize Indo-Pacific perspectives in your work. What unique insights does this region bring to global AI regulation?
So number one, the Indo-Pacific is the future of the world in a way because these emerging markets will somehow surpass the developed countries. China will be a main player, but then India will also become a very significant player from a self-regulatory point of view. You will have Indo-Japanese, Indo-Korean, Indo-Indonesian collaborations. So I think we might be back to the glory days of Indo-China, which we used to say in the Cold War era under Prime Minister Nehru. But then AI regulation, interestingly, the most innovative and awesome ways of AI regulation have not come from Europe. They have actually come from Southeast Asia. Have not even come from China. These this year, like the Koreans have come up with a new interesting bill. The Hiroshima Consensus of Japan during their G7 presidency was really interesting. And uh, the Japanese, as I told you, they actually have come up with some very sector specific guidelines and approaches, which can be handy and applicable. But one interesting country has also played a game with voluntary guidance, and that is Australia, which is a part of the Quad, which is an Indo-Pacific nation and a very close partner of India in the Anglosphere. I mean, I think the closest right now, considering the way the Americans have been behaving. So I think, yeah, this region will bring a lot, and I think we will be way beyond the Magna Cartas and the treaty overseas approaches that have been in the European way. I mean, I'm using cliched terms, but I think people have read a little bit of First World War, so I just made that fun reference from your.
Wow. So you have proposed AICT.in, India's first private draft AI regulation. What inspired you to take this independent step? And how has the reaction been to your step?
So this legislation draft which I created, AIACT.in, it has 5 versions now, 5 iterations. Each time we make changes based on feedback. The only mistake I made was maybe we just did not take it too literally in the sense like a survey or something, but we had discrete feedback in writing. But it started like long back. So in 2021, when I had formed ISAIL separately, I was in touch with Mr. Sanjay Notani, who is a partner at ELP, and we were discussing about AI regulation in India and all those things, in a fun way. And that was like 2021. Uh, the very first Niti Aayog approach report had come. So he was suggesting from a very long time that, Abhi, why don't you draft something like an AI regulation, something like that? Why don't you give it a try? And I was like, okay, let's give it a try. So 2023 happened, and then he pushed again, and I was like, okay, this is an interesting time. Let's just go ahead. And I drafted AIACD.in. Interestingly, a year later, Justice M. Sundar, who is now officially the Chief Justice of the Manipur High Court, he last year, and Mr. Venkatramani, the Attorney General, was there as well. They and I were in an event. Now, Justice Sundar and I were co-speakers, and I was not even going to talk about my draft bill. I was going to talk about something else entirely, and that is in the Live Law YouTube live stream as well. Now, Justice Sundar start talking about the bill publicly, and he showed an interest that, you know what, this bill is interesting. It actually is very, we can do something about it. But beyond Justice Sundar, I also got some awesome positive feedback from developers, ML engineers, people in product management, people in public policy, ex judges, lawyers, and some friends of mine who are engineers in different aspects. So it's actually fun that I got a lot of feedback to understand how the market thinks about the potential implications. They told me some things were practical, some things are not practical, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not here to make a perfect legislation. I just am here to take feedback. So that helps us in effectively improving our services and practices, but at the same time also help the community. And through that bill, we have done some sessions through the ISAIL community as well. So that's also there.
Wow. So let's go to your three journeys. First, I'll pick up apna as a public speaker. So, what are the most memorable speaker when you were a keynote speaker? What is the most memorable moment you had in one of your speaker sessions?
Honestly, I've lost the count how many I've done this year, but I can tell you the most memorable has been when people ask good questions, and it happened this year. Um, I was in a session for IFPD, if I'm right, I think Indian Forum for Public Diplomacy, and we were discussing AI diplomacy. So everyone was thinking, how can you use AI tools in diplomacy? But then somebody from an academic background raised a very good question on economics, and that was just hilarious fun. That finally people are asking more questions rather than just thinking it's a lecture. And I don't like doing lectures. I just love conversing new ideas. Like in this one, I also. And I think that is a memorable one. The second one, definitely, I would say, is the one with Justice M. Sundar, which happened last year. That was just unexpected out of the box. And the third one I would quickly would be saying is the one with Observer Research Foundation this year in the India Think Tank Forum. But that was memorable because um, it was a very pan-India forum, and in that we kind of addressed the crux of how DeepSeek affected the AI economy of the world and how it affected NVIDIA and other players. So I think these three were the most memorable.
Wow. So let's go to your next journey as an author, writer. You have authored over 40 publications on AI, ethics, and law. Among your 40 publications, which is the most impactful and memorable?
That's a great question. Honestly, the most impactful of it is the 2021 handbook on AI and international law. Because I mean, I would say the 2020 handbook, so both of them actually, because it's a two book volume. So, well, both of them have 25 chapters, something like that, on various fields of international law, but how they relate with ethics of AI. So, why is it impactful? I think because first, it created a new precedent in its own way in AI and law scholarship in India when we just don't see that much. Most of the times people use GPT and copy paste or whatever. But that was like 2021. And the first one was released by Benoit Sauvage from EEAS, and the second one by Justice uh, Midha from Delhi High Court. He's retired now. But why pivotal? I think because he's paved the bigger potential of our research community at ISAIL. That paved me a lot of inspiration for my work at IPLR. So yeah, I think this.
Wow. So, how do you balance Abhivardhan being both a legal researcher and a policy advocate in global forums?
Uh, Honestly, it's a tightrope, but sometimes it isn't. The best idea here is one can one can personalize and understand their basics. I always focus on that. For example, even before getting into AI and technology law in 2018, I was deeply fascinated into public policy and constitutional law and contracts. I loved legal positivism, and I know this sounds very silly. It is like, but that's how I used to see things. So I think having good basics and loving that field and then building upon that is important. If I now can say that I understand market trends around AI and product management issues, I think I started with the basics, and I think because this these days people think that oh, AI will replace and all that stuff, which is not happening, and uh, we should not focus on basic competence. Well, I told this to a developer that if you want to do vibe coding, for example, if you are not good in your self growth, if you're not good in your basics, then the AI will screw you and you will have security issues. Who will fix it? God, I don't know. Maybe he's just looking at you. So you have to fix it, right? And core competencies will never fade away. They will always matter. It's just about the economics of it and how it makes sense and helps people. So yeah, that's
Wow.
how I can balance it.
So, Abhivardhan, how do you see lawyers adapting to the rapidly evolving world of generative AI?
So, with chatbots, I think Indian lawyers have been really intrigued. Um, but at the same time, we have seen instances in India and across the world now, finally, people are speaking the truth. At least in Europe, they're starting very soon in America. For example, an IP law firm person literally posted it that, okay, I used to think that this Gen AI chatbot will reduce my workload, but then it doesn't. In India, that realization is there, but uh, it is something which so I think a lot of people are still, even in the judiciary, unfortunately, thinking that all generative AI is just chatbots and all AI is just chatbots. So, and that's not helpful, and they really need good tools. There are some not-for-profit organizations which are trying to do something with trial courts and others, but I think they need to know that AI is not just LLMs and AI is not just what we think. So while adoption will be very fast in India, like anything, like water, like how it is, we need to know more about sophisticated tools and sophisticated things which can do. I think that's where the challenge lies.
Wow. So, you have got expertise in digital competition law. Can you share for viewers out there what is digital competition law and how has your experience been?
It's something which started like 3 to 4 years ago, honestly, because I have been interested in AI hype and the market conditions which actually are shaped by this. Now, this can be any other form of hype in a digital world, right? But digital competition is about the fact that it's very simple. It can start with e-commerce and fintech platforms. It can start with banks, right? You're engaging in a digital market, and that is imbibing a sense of problem where you are resource constrained or not, or whether you're using your distribution capacity in a way to mislead the market. Why is it digital competition law and not just primary competition law? Why should it be a separate field altogether as an extension of competition law? I think because a lot of times our debates are limited to algorithmic collusion, that you know what, there's a trading algorithm which is causing collusion and all that. But okay, around e-commerce and quick commerce, not quick commerce, but e-commerce and general automation, the way economic rights have to be understood, I think we are still playing an old playbook. I'll give you a quick example. So when we compare the way, when we see the way companies like OpenAI, Anthropic have been rising, there is an economic understanding among those investors who have invested in these companies that let us show to the people, consumers, clients, vendors, governments that around the world, not just India, around the world, that we are the new normal like the social media. Now, the reason why competition laws do not effectively apply on social media entities is exactly the legal loophole which is being used by generative AI companies like Anthropic and OpenAI. Even Google is a beneficiary of it, obviously, because it's a big monopoly. It's an oligopoly, right? So what happens is that older communication laws and older approaches of regulating, which are not which can deplete the market, which can affect a consumer's, I would say, connectivity to a globalized world, is what causes problems. So digital competition law is about ensuring that consumers' economic sovereignty, that they can go anywhere, they can engage in the world, an open free world as it is, but at the same time, the whole idea that social media companies exploited and did a lot of research, whatever, on any country, not just India, any country, that is something which needs to be carefully looked at. But that will start with resource capacity as well, and that will start with data centers and those things as well. So, but still, it is something which is a critical issue. That's why we came up with the digital competition bill, which we withdrew later after a high-powered committee was involved with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. But it is what it is. So, yeah.
Wow. So your next expertise, space law. Can you tell our viewers out there what space law is all about and how's experience been?
Space law is something new to me, honestly. But yeah, academically, I've been fascinated in it since my interest in international law. That is like long. But okay, space law is about a very simple concept. You collaborate with ISRO, let us say, the Indian Space Research Organization. You have a rocket or a satellite. Okay? You want to launch your satellite so that it goes to the outer space, and within it, you have kept some chemicals which will be processed with each other for chemical reactions and use that data to help your scientists down in the earth, on the earth, right? If you want to do that, there are certain things which can be done in outer space. And to do that, you need support, you need a launch pad. Now you launch with ISRO, the thing goes up to outer space. That, when goes out of the troposphere, beyond the troposphere, it will become up. Obviously, it's under Indian laws, but then it is also in the international outer space. So let us say that satellite is by mistake hit by a Chinese space aircraft or a Singaporean space aircraft. Then what will happen? What will be the legal implications? Who will pay the fines? Launching a spacecraft is not like launching a boat or a paper boat over a lake. So the costs are high, and that itself is interesting. But in the Cold War era, there were like five treaties, and the most abstract of them is a Moon Agreement, but the most important of them is the Outer Space Treaty, which created a paradigm for everyone that, you know what, this is what you can do and certain things. But again, a lot of countries still agree and don't agree. So, but then again, you have examples where the US and Russia are still collaborating on space matters despite the Ukraine war. So, yeah, that's why space law is an interesting field of its own.
So it's like more or less similar to the maritime law, where the ships go into international waters and who controls what. who decides what.
Yeah, to some extent. Yeah, to some
Yeah,
extent.
to some extent. Okay. So, Abhivardhan, you mentor young lawyers. So, what are the key elements you focus on while mentoring them?
I give them challenging things from a research point of view because a lot of people in the Gen Z and post millennial side really don't know what to research about and how to, you know, convert that into something practical. I think that's a big problem for them. So I try to sort out that issue for them by letting them be challenged. Um so I'll give you an example. Long back, somebody gave me an assignment. They used generative AI, but they did some clever editing. So they used Gen AI for citations. They gave me 50 citations. Tell me, sir, I've written 50, this much, and it has 50 footnotes. I said, okay. I picked up a random footnote and then I read the text near it, adjacent to it. And then I realized that the text itself said something else, while when I clicked that hyperlink, it was something else. So when I asked the person, how do you justify this? The person says, oh, uh, I don't know. I think it was that. And I told them. So I think people are, for some reason, and I understand the market is tough and there are problems in the legal market. I totally get it. But these soft and hard skills are a must for legal professionals, all sorts of legal professionals, not just lawyers. I'll tell you why. The field of law is a technical profession. And a technical profession is very different from non-technical professions. There is nothing wrong if you're an influencer or anything, right? But there, the skills are not of that technical nature where you have to be too rigorous about it. So I keep helping people to at least improve their research skills. We have done that in 5 years using the ISAIL community. I literally have mentored 200 plus young law students who are now working in law firms in so many places. They are in Ikigai, they are in Nishid Desai, they are in some European institute. I think they have worked at ORF as well. I think I might be wrong on that. They have worked at so many places, and God bless them. Let them excel, right? I'm very happy for them. But those 4 weeks where I gave them my time and they were nice to me, I always have tried that, you know what, you can be helped. You just need to focus on research mobility. Your hard and soft skills matter a lot. Trust me. And it will always pay you off. So
Wow.
that's what I.
So, let's go next round and understand Abhivardhan as a person. Tell us about your family and your formative years.
My dad is a senior advocate in Allahabad High Court, but in a totally different field, education and services law. Um, our family has an interesting background, a mixed background, I would say, from well, we are from Lucknow and Prayagraj, but which is Allahabad also, you can say, not that I care about. He, but our ancestral history goes to West Bengal and Azamgarh. So it's a mixed cocktail. While my maternal family goes from the Varanasi side of things. But yeah, the formative years, well, honestly, I've been a very creative person. I've loved um, reading uh, non-fiction, but not like those crime novels or the comics, but more like, you know, something, and that is my personal motivation, something like classical stories and those kind of things, and ancient epics. But I was curious from a very different angle, and the only reason I went into law is because of my philosophical interest. So, part thanks to uh, some ideas of Swami Vivekananda and others, and Srimad Bhagavad Gita. But um, the also reason I went to law, another reason is that I wrote a lot of poems since high school. So
Hmm.
I wrote a lot of poems in English and Hindi both. I was inspired by the sonnets of Shakespeare. I was inspired by, uh, I would say, Jashankar Prasad, Matthew Gupta. I was Also inspired by a little bit by works of Studio Ghibli for their impactful stories and the way they express them. And I am a cinema buff. I love all sorts of cinema, maybe except the only one in my native language, Hindi. But others I definitely love Iranian, Japanese, Soviet, American less, but yeah, it is so. Yeah.
Wow. So let's go to Nalsor, Hyderabad. What are memories and experience from there?
I think it's an awesome institution, and uh, their people are working hard in their own right. They give the kind of their own freedoms to assess new ideas and see. Of course, every institution has their own problems, and obviously, this is not Nalsar is not without that. But I think it's a very accommodative institution. Uh, my experience has been interesting with them, and I will always cherish that, especially with
Wow.
the dean who left, but he was in the final supervising session for the dissertation, so I definitely will remember him. So
Wow. So, what hobbies or activities help you disconnect from the world of tech and policy?
I'd say keeping in autopilot mode, keeping me out of the autopilot mode instead of yeah, but huh. So I think that what keeps me out of that bubble of tech and policy, which actually gets exhausting. In fact, I think that is a mix of music per se, because while I don't play, I used to try piano and sitar because my mom has been a sitarist. I'm a person who loves the hymns and the melodies of Ilayaraja, but also am an equally a very big fan of Daft Punk. And people ask me, why do you like 80s Tamil melodies, but you also like Daft Punk and Lord Balf and Japanese Joe Hisaishi or Hiroshi Kitadani? And the reason is that music is about explaining things in a form, and that gives me ideas, but also that sense of gratitude. And I think
Wow.
that's what I found interesting. Second interest I had, which is depicted in some of my ways of work as well, is design. So, of course, I've been fascinated by making paintings, but now I don't, because I don't have that time for canvas paintings or anything like that. But I used to make sketches. I have done that many times. It's on my website as well. I just keep it for the fun of it. Anyone can see it. But yeah, it's fascinating.
Wow. So, what's one family tradition you cherish and never want to let go of?
I think respecting your roots despite you grow, because we come from a very humble background, at least in a way that my grandpa has been a freedom fighter, and he was in the labor union under the first Congress government in Uttar Pradesh. Technically, in the well, whatever, not exactly a minister, but like in the labor union per se in their own way. So we have been my family has been through very hard times, and my father is a first generation lawyer, anyways, and my mom is somebody who started her own school and then left. But then my maternal side actually handled that school, and the school is still running. So we, uh, I think it's always about respecting where you come from and why did you do. Because I know people think like, huh, this is an aspect of privilege and all those things, and I completely get it. But then again, the point is, are you respecting some part of your roots and thinking that yeah, there is some possibility or not? And I think yeah, that is something which has been a family thing, and we genuinely uh, respect that. And I think that is something which I will also pass on, hopefully. So, yeah.
Wow. Wow. So, my last one is googly one. Describe Abhivardhan in one line.
One line.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just say what I said in the last interview. I'll just reiterate. I'm not bragging it. So I think so. Both Mathurji said to me that you are a global citizen who is living in Lucknow. in a funny way. So I'll just say that in a funny way, but yeah, it is what it is.
Wow. So let's put you in the hot seat. Your go-to comfort food.
Balinese coconut curry,
Wow. Your favorite color.
scarlet,
Morning person or night owl.
morning person.
One book you can reread multiple times.
Honestly, a few, but I would say, okay, that's a tough one. Um, okay, pass for this one, maybe. Yeah.
Wow. Best piece of advice received.
Never care too much personally about the person, care about what they did, how they failed or succeeded, and how they are still trying.
Wow. Tea or coffee to recharge.
Yeah, I do. I love coffee with jaggery. I'm an absolute fan, especially Kerala coffee. So, yeah.
Wow. So did well, and let's just toast. And here's a book, Legally I 101. It got a comes into you. As a conversation with Abhivardhan comes to an end, it's clear that he isn't just interpreting the future of law, he's building it with vision, ethics, and inclusivity. From global policy platforms to his deep rooted cultural grounding, his journey proves that leadership is not just about expertise but about imagination and responsibility. The future of law and AI is unfolding, and voices like his are making sure it's human centered, ethical, and hopeful. So, like that, there are 500 plus coffee speakers sharing their professional, personal journeys. Subscribe, get inspired, implement it in lives, and we continue a conversation, a cup of coffee with another speaker. Take care. Thank you.